Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever noticed how some people leave only to return into your life again? How some doors close and yet somehow they find a way to open themselves again? Life is a beautiful journey of connections, choices, and timing. Sometimes people leave our lives not because they don't care, but because they are not ready, not aware, or simply walking their own path. And yet, life has a mysterious way of bringing some people back. When a woman who once rejected you comes back, it is not always a reflection of your worth, nor is it always a validation of her feelings. It is a moment that tests your patience, your confidence, and your self-respect. Many men feel confused, frustrated, or even tempted to jump at the opportunity without thinking. But let me remind you, your heart is not a playground for uncertainty. Your dignity, your self-respect, and your emotional strength are your treasures. When someone comes back into your life after rejecting you, it is a reflection not only of their journey but also of your own growth. Are you ready to recognize your value? Are you ready to respond not with desperation, but with awareness, wisdom, and grace? This speech is about understanding this complex emotional scenario, turning it into personal empowerment, and learning the art of choosing yourself before anyone else. Understand the why behind the return. When someone returns after leaving, it is easy for the heart to get swept away by emotions, hope, or confusion. We often rush to interpret a comeback as a sign of love or admiration. But the truth is far more complex. Every return carries a reason, and that reason is not always about you, it is about them, their journey, and their own realizations. Sometimes it is regret, sometimes it is fear of missing out, and sometimes it is a reflection of the lessons they never fully learned the first time. Recognizing this truth prevents you from giving away your heart to someone who may not yet be ready to value it. The first step toward understanding is to pause and observe without judgment. Ask yourself, what changed? Why now, after the rejection, has this person decided to come back? Reflection is not an act of coldness, it is an act of strength. When you understand the why behind their return, you equip yourself with clarity, allowing your heart to respond from a place of wisdom rather than impulse. You begin to see that their presence in your life is not just about them seeking you, but also about you testing your own emotional resilience. Emotional awareness is a shield that guards your heart from being manipulated by fleeting emotions or temporary desires. People return into our lives for reasons that often mirror their own insecurities or unfinished journeys. This does not diminish the love you may feel or the connection you shared, but it does highlight the importance of discernment. You start realizing that love is not about filling gaps for others. It is about mutual respect, understanding, and timing. Knowing this empowers you to respond with grace rather than desperation. And in this awareness, you find freedom. Freedom from the illusion that someone else's return defines your worth. Freedom from believing that you need external validation to feel complete. Every return after rejection is a mirror, reflecting both their growth and yours. It asks you to rise above your instincts, to observe the situation with clarity, and to choose how your heart will respond. When you understand the why, you are no longer a victim of circumstance. You are a master of your own emotional path. Never chase what was once rejected. There is a quiet power in refusing to chase someone who once walked away. The temptation to seek closure or a second chance is natural, but it is often fueled by insecurity and fear of loss. Chasing what was once rejected reduces your value in your own eyes and places your happiness in someone else's hands. True respect, connection, and love cannot thrive in a space where desperation leads the way. Understanding this creates the foundation for self-respect and personal power, allowing you to live your life fully without being consumed by longing or uncertainty. When you stop chasing, you shift your energy inward. You nurture your dreams, focus on your growth, and strengthen the parts of yourself that may have been neglected while waiting or hoping for someone else's attention. You discover that life is not about the pursuit of approval, but about creating a version of yourself that others admire naturally. In this space, your confidence becomes magnetic. The energy you release through self-improvement, self-love, And dedication to your purpose draws people into your life not because they are chasing you, but because they recognize your strength, independence, and authenticity. Chasing what was once rejected also blinds you to the truth of your own worth. When someone leaves and returns, it is not always a reflection of your value, but often a reflection of their timing, hesitation, or fear. By refusing to chase, you honor yourself and your journey. You become immune to emotional manipulation, to cycles of rejection and return that may confuse or destabilize your heart. You no longer need someone else's approval to feel worthy or complete, because your own sense of value becomes untouchable. This principle is a liberation of the soul. It is a declaration that your heart is sacred, and it will not be offered to those who treat it as expendable. It is not about closing doors. It is about choosing the right door, one where respect, reciprocity, and genuine connection exist. When you embrace this truth, you are free to attract relationships that are balanced, healthy, and fulfilling. Rather than being trapped in endless cycles of chasing and longing, set boundaries and protect your energy. Boundaries are not walls, they are lifelines. They define the space in which your heart can safely grow, love, and connect. When someone returns after rejecting you, the emotional storm can be intense. Old wounds may resurface, insecurities may shake your confidence, and doubts may cloud your clarity. Setting boundaries in these moments is an act of courage. It is a statement that your emotional energy is precious and that it cannot be spent on uncertainty, manipulation, or half-hearted intentions. Boundaries protect you from repeating cycles that drain your spirit, and they empower you to respond consciously, not react unconsciously. Establishing boundaries begins with recognizing your worth. You must know what is acceptable for your heart and what is not. Accepting someone back into your life does not mean surrendering your emotional autonomy. It means choosing carefully who has the right to influence your feelings, your decisions, and your peace of mind. When you communicate your boundaries, you teach others how to treat you with respect. You are no longer at the mercy of another person's indecision or inconsistency because you have created a framework that preserves your emotional dignity. Boundaries are also a form of self-care. They allow you to engage with others without losing yourself in their drama or uncertainty. You can listen, interact, and even forgive without sacrificing your mental and emotional well-being. They help you distinguish between genuine love and temporary desire, between someone who has learned and someone who is still learning. Your energy is finite, and protecting it is not selfish. It is necessary for your growth, your happiness, and your ability to create authentic relationships that honor both hearts. When boundaries are respected, the dynamics of return change. You are no longer vulnerable to cycles of rejection and comeback because you hold the power of choice. You become the calm in the storm, the observer rather than the reactor. And in this strength, you find peace, the peace of knowing that your heart is safe, your soul is respected, and your emotional world is guided by awareness rather than impulse. You become untouchable in the best way, radiant in your self-respect, and ready to welcome only what aligns with your highest good. Use their return as a mirror for your growth. Every encounter, every rejection, and every return is a mirror reflecting the state of your inner world. When a woman who once left comes back, it is not just about her, it is about you, your growth, and the choices you have made since the first departure. Life uses these moments to test your evolution, your patience, and your self-awareness. It asks, have you learned from the past? Have you healed? Are you ready to engage with love consciously rather than reactively? Their return is a reflection of your emotional maturity, showing you whether you are still caught in the patterns of fear, attachment, and insecurity, or whether you have risen above them with clarity and confidence. Reflection is not an exercise in judgment, but in awareness. You observe the dynamics without attaching your self-worth to them. You see that their return may stir old emotions, but it does not define you. Growth comes from recognizing patterns, understanding lessons, and deciding how to engage with your heart in ways that honor your journey. When you look in this mirror, You do not seek to change them or to rekindle the past impulsively. You seek to understand yourself, your emotional triggers, and your capacity for love without losing integrity. This mirror also illuminates the gaps you have closed within yourself. Perhaps you have cultivated patience. Perhaps you have strengthened boundaries. Perhaps you have learned the art of emotional independence. These qualities shape how you respond to their return. They help you distinguish between fleeting attraction and genuine alignment, between desire and devotion, between manipulation and true connection. Your growth transforms a potentially confusing or painful situation into a moment of empowerment, teaching you that your heart is not fragile, it is resilient, discerning, and capable of choosing wisely. When you use their return as a mirror, you reclaim your power. You see yourself not as someone who is being acted upon, but as someone who actively shapes their emotional landscape. The return of another becomes an opportunity for self-reflection, emotional strengthening, and conscious decision-making. It is a chance to rise above past reactions, to respond with dignity, and to ensure that every choice you make honors your journey, your heart, and your soul. Choose yourself before you choose anyone. At the core of every complex emotional situation lies this undeniable truth. Your first responsibility is to yourself. Before opening your heart to another, before forgiving, before accepting someone back, you must ask, am I choosing them or am I choosing me? Choosing yourself is not selfishness. It is the foundation of every healthy relationship. It is the recognition that your emotional well-being, self-respect, and clarity are non-negotiable. When you choose yourself, your heart becomes a source of empowerment rather than vulnerability. Choosing yourself means prioritizing alignment over attachment. It means understanding that love cannot flourish where one's soul is incomplete or dependent on external validation. You begin to realize that relationships are not about filling emptiness. They're about joining two complete, independent, and empowered individuals. Every return after rejection becomes a test. Do you act from need, fear, or desire to fill gaps? Or do you act from a place of integrity, self-love, and conscious choice? The answer to this defines the quality of every connection you allow into your life. When you place yourself first, you are no longer driven by desperation or insecurity. You evaluate every situation with clarity, recognizing whether the person returning aligns with your values, respects your boundaries, and contributes positively to your growth. Choosing yourself ensures that you do not settle for repetition of past mistakes or emotional turbulence. It empowers you to be patient, to wait for authentic connection, and to cultivate a love that is reciprocal, balanced, and nourishing for both hearts involved. Choosing yourself transforms your entire approach to love, relationships, and emotional engagement. You become a beacon of strength, independence, and discernment. No longer are you at the mercy of someone else's timing, hesitation, or change of heart. You respond not with need, but with wisdom, not with desperation, but with dignity. When you choose yourself first, you cultivate a love that is conscious, empowering, and everlasting, a love that begins within you and radiates outward. In the end, life has a way of testing our hearts, not to break us, but to awaken us. When someone who once rejected you returns, it is not a sign of your incompleteness, nor a challenge to your worth. It is a mirror reflecting the growth, strength, and clarity you have cultivated within yourself. Every return, every hesitation, every choice of theirs is an opportunity for you to stand taller, protect your energy, and honor your journey. It is a reminder that your heart is sacred, your self-respect is priceless, and your emotional independence is the most powerful force you possess. The true lesson lies not in chasing or convincing someone to stay, but in choosing yourself before anyone else. When you prioritize your growth, boundaries, and inner peace, you transform confusion into clarity, rejection into self-respect, and comebacks into wisdom. Love, connection, And meaningful relationships are never about filling gaps or chasing approval. They are about alignment, authenticity, and mutual respect. And when you embrace this truth, you step into a life where every return, every encounter, and every choice serves not to diminish your heart, but to elevate it higher than ever before.